The U.S. Supreme Court has delivered a major setback to former President Donald Trump, rejecting his attempt to deploy the National Guard in Illinois. The decision raises serious questions about presidential power, federal authority, and the limits of using military forces inside the United States. What happened? The Supreme Court issued a brief order refusing to block a lower court ruling that stopped the federal government from sending National Guard troops into Illinois. This means the court's ban on the deployment remains in place while the legal battle continues. Why Trump wanted the National Guard? Earlier, the Trump administration moved to deploy hundreds of National Guard members in the Chicago area. The stated goal was to support federal law enforcement, particularly around immigration enforcement and security at federal facilities during protests. However, Illinois officials strongly opposed the move, saying the president overstepped his legal authority. A federal judge agreed with Illinois leaders and issued an emergency order blocking the deployment. That ruling was largely upheld by a federal appeals court. When Trump asked the Supreme Court to lift the block immediately, the justices refused, allowing the lower court decision to stand. Legal reasoning. The Supreme Court did not rule on the full case, but focused on whether the government met the legal standard to deploy the National Guard. Under federal law, the president may only federalize the Guard when civilian law enforcement is unable to enforce federal law, and the court found that argument was not sufficiently proven. 3 conservative justices disagreed, arguing that protecting federal property and personnel could justify the deployment. But the majority was not persuaded, marking a rare moment where the court rejected a Trump administration emergency request. This decision highlights the limits of presidential power when it comes to using military forces domestically. It also reinforces the role of the courts and states in pushing back against federal authority, especially during times of political tension. The case will continue in lower courts, but for now the National Guard cannot be deployed in Illinois under Trump's order. This ruling could shape future debates about executive power, state rights, and the use of military forces within U.S. borders. If you found this breakdown helpful, like the video, subscribe for more legal and political updates, and share your thoughts in the comments.